So this is going to be a quick overview, maybe slash mini review of the Samebike XWXL09. That's the model number of the bike. Now there's a little bit of a discrepancy right off the bat. As you can see on the bike, it says XWLX09, but on the website it says XWXL. So I'm not sure if that's a typo there, or if it's a typo on the bike, or if it's a typo on the website. But in any case, let's just do a quick overview. So this is a fat tire folding mini bike. As you can see right there, it says fat tire. So yeah, the reason it says fat tire is because you have these 20-inch tires. The rims are 20 inches and they're by 4 inches. So they're kind of like, designed to be an off-road tire, but they perform great on the street as well. The bike, basically, when you get the bike, you have to assemble it. You have to assemble the front tire, and the headlight and the pedals have to be assembled, and of course the seat. And that's about it. It's a very simple process. They have a video on the Samebike YouTube page, so it's an easy process, really good, easy to get done. So let's talk about the let's see here. So you have a front headlight here, and the front headlight is a bright headlight. So let me test that headlight, turn it on for you guys here, and then see how it looks. So it doesn't look that bright from here, but at nighttime it's really, really bright. I'm really happy with the nighttime performance of the bike. And then we'll test this yellow one here is for the horn. So I'll test the horn. Really, really loud horn. So great performance there. You might want to consider maybe getting a little bell, because it's so loud that on bike paths it really causes people to jump. So the bike has a front and rear suspension. So here's the front suspension. The front suspension can be locked, of course, so you can lock it out, or you can, give it so that it's more springy. It has a rear suspension that I'll be covering a little bit later. Rear suspension is not that great, but I'll have some comments about that later. This is just a quick overview. So you have a 7-speed Shimano in the rear, 7 gears there, and then of course 1 there. So that gives you your performance. The motor is 750 watt motor in the rear there. So that gives you your performance. I'll talk about the performance a little bit later. It has a rear rack, of course, built in. The bike, basically the overall feel of the bike is very premium. The bike feels very solid. Everything's metal. Everything's metal on the bike. There's no cheap plastics on here. The only plastic really is the fenders. The fenders are plastic, and that's about it. Everything else is solid. Obviously the display, this is going to be plastic, of course. Quick run through of the display. You have M here, so this is your different modes. So that's your odometer. You press it, you go to your trip meter, and then your volt. Those are your volts there. And you have your current, and then this is the time, the amount of time that the bike has been on. When you turn the bike off, everything resets. The trip meter and the time resets. And then of course you have your pedal assist here, up and down, 3, 4, pedal assist, and that gets you through that. And then of course your throttle is right here on the right hand side, which is the side that it should be on. So the right here in the center here, this is the battery. So like I said, it folds here. The mechanism opens up and the bike folds in half. Inside you have a 10 amp hour, 48 volt battery. So it's 480 watt hours. And it gives you your range and your performance and all that. I'll cover that a little bit later as well. Of course, the speaker, all this stuff is not included. The speaker is my own, the bag is my own, and this is an aftermarket seat I bought. The stock seat that it comes with is extremely uncomfortable and really painful, so I bought this. This is a Cloud9 seat that works really great. The bike weighs 74 pounds, so it's a little bit heavy, but you get a little handle here in the middle. And yeah, so that's just pretty much a quick overview of the bike. Quick walk around. Let's see here. You have these cool kind of mag rims there. You think those are really heavy, but they're actually reasonably light. You can pick those wheels up. It's actually detachable. So you'll notice here, you can actually there's a quick release, and you can just flick that off, and you can take the front tire off. And then of course you have your brakes. The brakes are mechanical. They're not hydraulic, so you have mechanical brakes. And they perform all right. I have a little bit of a squeakiness in the rear here, but I'll cover all that a little bit later. This is just a kind of a quick overview of the bike. A little walk around there. There's no rear light on the bike, so by default you don't get a rear light. You just have this little reflector here. So I'd probably recommend getting a rear light, brake light if you can. And you have this nice little for all your cable ties. It's the Samebike branded. This comes with it here. So that keeps all your cables neat, looking neat. I get compliments on the bike. It looks really stylish and people seem to like it. And you have your little connectors here. So pretty much everything from the screen to, you know, all the electronics and stuff can be just easily hot swapped right here. You just plug them out and you can replace them easily. So yeah, the stem folds, of course, the handlebar folds down. This is also retractable here. And overall, that's just a quick overview of the bike. It says God of War there. I really don't know why it says that, but it's, you know, it is what it is. All right. All right, so I'm just going to quickly talk about some of the things that I like about the bike, some of the things that I don't like. So let's start with the things that I like. So what I really like about the bike, of course, is the quality, the fit and finish. Everything on the bike is solid, has a great, you know, everything is tight and there's no issues. Feels solid, everything is solid. I love the quality and the construction of everything. I also like the seating position. I love these high handlebars. It really has a, you know, you have a really kind of a great kind of a cruiser feel to it. So I really enjoy that. It really adds to the comfort of the bike. The comfort of the bike also is made better by the tires. So the tires are these 20-inch by 4-inch tires, like I mentioned, but they're actually really comfortable. They soak up a lot of the bumps, and that has to do with the rear suspension. So I'll talk about the rear suspension in a bit, but the tires are designed for kind of, it's like they're kind of like an off-road tire, but they're actually great on roads as well. As you can see here, I'm kind of, you know, out in like the woods kind of area, so I went off-road to get out here, and the tires perform excellently. Another one of the things about the bike that I really like are the brakes. The brakes are mechanical disc brakes, and they've functioned pretty well. I've put several hundred kilometers on this thing now, and I've had no issues with the brakes at all, except for a little bit of squeaking on the rear brake. The brakes have been great. They've held up, and I've had no issues with those at all. Okay, something else I'd like to also mention that I like about the bike, I would say, is the range. Let's take a quick look here. See if we can get on the bike, get this thing moving. All right. So the range of the bike, I would say, is pretty solid. I'm able to get about, let's say, 40 to 50 kilometers of range with my normal riding style. So now you can get more or less than that. If you were using, let's say, pedal assist 1 exclusively, which has a top speed of about 8 kilometers per hour, you can probably get way more than that, maybe 60, 70, maybe even 80 kilometers of total range. Like I said, I'm averaging about 40 to 50, and that's usually because I keep it in pedal assist 3, pedal assist 4, and of course 5. If you are in pedal assist 5 and exclusively using throttle, you will probably only get maybe 20 kilometers of range if you're lucky. So keep that in mind. I would say your range will go from, let's say, throttle only of 20 kilometers or so up to, if you stay in pedal assist 1, you can probably get maybe 70, maybe even as high as 80. You know, I was able to see well over 50 kilometers, and that was just, you know, keeping it at about pedal assist 2, and you know, that was you know, using the throttle every now and then. But yeah, the range has been pretty decent. In all honesty, I wish it came with a bigger battery. Like I said, it's a 480 watt hour battery, so I wish it had a bigger battery, but you know, what can you do? The bike also has a feature called walk mode. Now let me show you how walk mode works. I'm just going to pull over here. Walk mode basically allows you to walk the bike at about, let's say, 5 kilometers per hour. So what you have to do is you simply hold the down button here, and you'll see it will switch into walk mode. Let me see if I can get into the shade here. Okay, so you press and hold down. I'm holding it now. There, see the little walking icon? Holy crap. Okay, so now we're in walk mode. So as you can see, I'm just walking along, no throttle, and the bike is basically just pulling itself along at about 5 kilometers per hour. So this is great for, you know, let's say you need to walk uphill, or if you just are tired of riding and you just want to walk, you can just put it in walk mode. You pull the brake here, and that turns off walk mode. So that's an excellent feature. The bike also has a cruise control feature. I'm going to show you that now. So cruise control is very easy to activate. All you have to do is, just like walk mode, you press and you hold the down key as you are riding along. So let's go ahead and do it. So I'm cruising along. Let's say 9 kilometers per hour. I'm going to press and hold down now. I won't be able to show it. So now we're in cruise control. And as you can see, there's a little icon there, and the little icon indicates we're in cruise control. So I'm not pedaling and I'm not using the throttle, but we're just cruising along at 15 kilometers per hour. So this is an awesome feature if you just don't feel like pedaling. I don't use it that often, but it's definitely very convenient. Sometimes on a long ride when you're coming back, you don't want to pedal anymore. You have the option for, going into cruise control and just doing it like that. So as you can see, we're kind of going a little bit off-road here, and we're just still, no more pedaling, no throttle. We're just in cruise control, cruising along. This is great. To turn cruise control off, all you have to do is pull the brake, and that's it. It disables cruise control, and we come to a stop. Great feature. Okay, and one other feature that I really love about the bike is the folding mechanism. Now, I'm not going to do it for you guys because, there's literally 1,000 videos of these things folding on the internet. So I'm not going to do it for you, but it's the same as all the other ones. It's very simple. You just simply lift this latch up here, pull that out, and then the bike folds in half. It's really simple. And then this folds in half, and then of course the handlebars also fold down. There's this little simple latch there that goes down. The handles fold down. Really, really easy. It's such a convenient feature for me, and it's really come in handy for me with the bike, because I've had to take the bike on maybe some different trips and things where I've had to store it in vehicles, and it has come in so handy. So the folding is great. I have to definitely recommend that. If you need a bike that can fold up into a small space, a folding bike is a great idea. All right, so now I'm going to try and do a top speed test, throttle only. Okay, so I'm not going to pedal. I'm just going to use the throttle right here. Just going to use the throttle. I have 100% battery, so let's see if we can do it. I hope you can get this on the camera. All right, full throttle now. 19, 22, 30, 31.1. Full throttle, 32.2. Got traffic there, gotta slow down, 32.5. Okay, slowly, that's a downhill there. Okay, let me open it up again. Okay, I'm opening it up. We have a slight downhill, so this might not be fair, but 30, 31, 32.0, 32.2. This is a very slight downhill, so this might not be accurate. 31, 31.5. This is essentially where it tops out here. Okay, we got a stop sign there, so let's stop. So that's kind of what you can expect from the top speed. It's 31, 32 kilometers per hour. Even though I had a slight downhill there, you're only hitting 32. So I'm going to go back. We'll try it one more time and see. Actually, you know what? It'll be worse this time because it's a slight uphill. So we'll most likely get an even slower top speed. So let's try it. Okay, still at 100% battery. Top speed test number 2. We'll turn around here. No pedaling this time. A very slight uphill. So, okay, let's try it. Here we go. Full throttle now, 20. It gets to 20 really fast. 24, 25, 28, 29. Just in case, I'm reading it out just in case you can't actually see the 30. This is full throttle, pedal assist 5. This is it. Slight uphill, 30.2. I mean, this is as fast as you can expect on the bike, 29. So we're uphill now. So yeah, it's not good. 28, 29. You see the battery plunges really quickly. So that's it. I mean, I'm just going to stop it there. Slow it down here. So that's it. I mean, like I said, it's not a fast bike at all. 20 miles an hour is what you can expect. Full throttle, pedal assist 5 with no pedaling. So what I'm also going to do now is a top speed test in pedal assist 5, pedaling as fast as I can pedal. Okay, see how fast I can get this thing up to. Now it's a little bit, this is the best area that I could find. There's a slight downhill than an uphill, but you know, we'll see what we can do. We already know the top speed of the bike is 32 kilometers an hour, so we'll see how fast I can get it with pedaling as fast as I can pedal. Let's do it. So I'm just starting off with throttle only just to get myself moving. Okay, now I'm pedaling, as you can see. See how fast we can get this thing. I'm using the throttle now to get myself up to speed. Now I'm pedaling as hard as I can pedal. Okay, this is as fast as I can pedal right now. I'm putting in really a lot of effort. This is as hard as I can pedal right now, 34. Oh, it's a slight uphill here. We're going uphill now, 34, still going uphill, 34. That's about it. Now it's a really steep slope, so I'm not going to bother pedaling with this. And what I'm going to do is there's a little bit of a downhill ahead. So what I'll do is I'm going to continue pedaling as hard as I can pedal on this downhill. And then we'll see how fast we can get it up to. All right, here we go. Okay, I'm using the throttle. Okay, here we go, pedaling. Okay, pedaling frantically now. Here's the downhill. Pedaling downhill, still having resistance. 41, 40. Oh man, okay. All right, that's it. Whew. I think I saw 40 there. I hope the camera picked that up. All right, let's pull over here. All right. Okay, so there you have it. Going downhill, pedaling as hard as I could pedal. It's a slight downhill. There it is right there. So you can see it's right there, just a slight downhill. I was able to get it up to, I think it was 40, and there was still some resistance there, but you know, that's what you can expect from the bike. Okay, what I'm going to do now is a hill test. There's an extremely steep hill here. This test is probably not fair for the bike because I think that this hill is much steeper than what Samebike says the bike can do. But I'm in pedal assist 5. I'm pedaling right now. I'm going to see, I'm in gear 1. I'm going to see if I can make it up to the top of this hill. It's extremely steep. So let's try it. I'm pedaling now. Okay, so now it's getting a little bit difficult. Okay, let's keep going. I might throw in a little bit of throttle there if I can't do it, but let's see. The current is showing 5. I'm slowing down now. I'm pedaling. Oh man, it's hard. Oh wow. Okay. I'm gonna use the throttle now. I have the throttle on. It's showing 9. Oh, let's go. Come on. It's showing 10 on the current. I'm pedaling. Oh, I'm doing it. It's happening. Whew, I did it. Whew. Okay, so I climbed that hill, and the motor was struggling for sure. You could hear the motor struggling. It was kind of bogging down, but the pedaling along helped it. But, you know, we did it. Okay, I'm just gonna pull over here and just briefly talk about some of the things that I don't like about the bike. And there's a few. Most of them generally have to do with performance, but this is one of the ones that I don't like. So the suspension on the bike, the suspension is kind of rough. The front suspension, you know, it looks pretty good, but you know, it's pretty rough. And even though I have it turned so that it's not locked, it's at the cushiest setting, the suspension is still, it's not that great. It could be cushier. You still feel all the bumps. And I've had the bike just for about a month now, and I've found that it's kind of been sticking. I think they call these stanchions or something. They've been sticking a little bit, so I'm not sure what to do about that. The other thing is the rear suspension. Now, this is actually a rear suspension in name only. This is not a suspension. This does nothing. This does not provide any cushioning. This does not provide any comfort. This is essentially a hardtail bike. This thing, you might get, you'll barely get 1 millimeter of travel on this. It's actually pretty rough. So this is not a suspension. So I was thinking that this was going to be, you know, I'd be going off road and it would be nice and cushy. It's not at all. So what I would strongly recommend is probably getting a seat post suspension. I've been considering getting a seat post suspension for myself, and that's probably your best bet, because this thing here, this is not it. I mean, it literally does nothing. So, you know, also, since I mentioned a seat post suspension, something else I don't like about the bike was the stock seat. The stock seat was extremely uncomfortable and painful. That seat's only maybe, I don't know, 6-7 inches maybe across. It's like a tiny little narrow seat, and it was extremely painful. I mean, literally after about a day or two, my rear end, my back was in agonizing pain. So I had to get an aftermarket seat, and this is it right here. This is a Cloud9 seat. So this is, I think this one is maybe 11 or 12 inches across. So it's a much wider seat, and you can hear, I think there's some kind of an air or something in there, but you can hear the air, and then it's maybe 12 inches. So this is what I would recommend going with, something that's much bigger and cushier. This has extended my, my ability to ride longer distances by, it's just made such a tremendous difference than the stock seat. Two more things about the bike that I don't like. Well, there's more than two, but I'll just touch on two of them right now. The rear brake has been squeaking. It has squeaked since day one, and not much I can do about that. I've tried adjusting it. I can't stop it from squeaking. It always squeaks, and I'm just living with that. So, beware of that. Also, it doesn't come with a rear brake light. Like I mentioned, you only get a rear reflector. I genuinely feel at this price point the bike should have a rear brake light. So now I'm basically having to go and look at purchasing a rear brake light. So that's something else to think about. Something else as well that I think the bike should have, something that I don't like, is the fact that it only has 7 gears. I feel like this bike should have at least 8, 9, or 10 gears. I mean, what's happening here is when you hit 25 kilometers per hour, you're basically ghost pedaling. And in order to get above 25, you have to pedal frantically to try to push it. So I don't know, I feel like it needs more gears. That's just some feedback. But okay, let's get on the bike and hit the road here. I'll share something else that I don't like about the bike, and that would be the weight. The weight of the bike is 74 pounds, and it's pretty heavy. Now, of course, like I said, the bike is well built and has good quality, but that adds to the weight. So it's 74 pounds. There's lots of other e-bikes in this category or in this price range that are lighter. And, even though you get a nice little handle down here kind of in the middle there, I still feel like the weight of the bike it's a little bit cumbersome. It's hard to maneuver. It should probably be a little bit lighter, but there's not really much that I can do about that. Something else about the bike that I don't like would be the battery size. Now, I know this totally contradicts everything that I said earlier in terms of the actual range, but I feel like the bike should have a bigger battery. Once again, it's a 480 watt hour battery. Now, there are other bikes in this price range. When I was investigating and doing my research, there were other bikes in this category that had 600-700 watt hour batteries. So I'm not exactly sure why this one only has a 480 watt hour. Now, obviously, if they did, it would be even heavier, which I just complained about. So I understand I'm probably contradicting myself here, but I kind of I wish that it had a bigger battery. That would be much better for the range. But it is what it is. All right, just gonna pull in here. All right. Okay. So now I'm going to talk about my final point, one of the main things that I don't like. So actually, before I talk about the main thing that I don't like, I'm going to show you something. The bike comes from the factory locked at 25 kilometers per hour. So for the first couple of days, I couldn't figure out exactly why I was not able to go beyond 25 kilometers per hour. So I'll show you how to unlock that. It needs to be unlocked first. So to unlock it, you have to go into the P settings. The P settings, you press the up and the down key at the same time and hold them. Okay, so I'm going to do it now. So now you're at P01. So you have to go to P08. So you just press the middle key, the mode key here, P02, P03, 4, just keep pressing it, 5, 6, 7, 8. Now you see it says 100. When I got this from the factory, it was actually set to 25. I'll show it to you right now. That's what it looked like from the factory. And that's why I couldn't figure out, why can't the bike go faster than 25? So all you have to do is just change it. You press up, and you can change it to whatever you want. So whatever the top speed of the bike you want, you can change it. You can make it 10 kilometers per hour. If that's all you want to go, you can make it 10. But what you do to unlock the top speed is just press and hold up and let it get to 100. 99, 100 there. Now just leave it. Don't press anything. Wait for it to time out. P08. This takes a couple of seconds. It times out. There. That's it. It times out. So now the performance of the bike, the top speed is unlocked, and you'll be able to go the top speed, which is 32 kilometers per hour. One other thing that I don't like, we'll add this onto the list of things I don't like, is I mentioned before, it has a quick release front tire. This tends to come loose, and this I think could be dangerous. So I've had to tighten this now. I mean, I've put maybe 300-400 kilometers or so on the bike, and this has come loose on me. I'll be riding it and I'll notice the wheels a little bit loose, and then I feel this and this is loose. So I've had to tighten this a couple of times. So this seems to just naturally loosen as time wears on. I don't know if that's a common thing with these quick release tires. This is my first e-bike, obviously. So on this side, it just screws there, and then on this side, it's a quick release. So it has come loose, so keep that in mind. You don't want this thing coming loose and then the tire falling off while you're riding. So just one other thing that I would say that I don't like. Okay, another small thing that I don't like. This one is definitely a nitpick. Inside here is the controller. So you can see the cables going in there. So the controller is in there. And when I opened it up, the controller is not actually bolted down or sealed in or anything. The little metal box is just in there, and it jiggles around in there. So as you're going over bumps and things, you hear a loud clanging noise coming from somewhere on the bike, and you wonder, what is that? So when I inspected it, I realized the controller is inside there. You have to fold it open first of all, and then you take some screws off, and then you can see it. It's just a metal box, and it's just thrown in there. And it bounces around and makes noise. So I don't know if that's really the best way to design it, if that's really safe. Let me see if I can film. So what I did was I put a little piece of plastic in there to try to, this little white thing that you can see there, it's not really coming through, but I put a little piece of plastic in there to try to fill the space so it doesn't bounce around much. And it did work, but I'm kind of hearing it again now. So what I'm going to try to do is, I'm thinking about maybe just putting some foam or some kind of maybe velcroing the controller to the actual compartment, but they just threw it in there and it's just loose and it bounces around constantly. A little bit of a nitpick, but something you should know nonetheless. So the performance of the Samebike XWXL09, this is the number one thing that I don't like about the bike. So I feel like the performance should be at a much higher level. In researching this bike, I was looking at all sorts of different e-bikes to buy, and I was able to see other e-bikes that had even smaller, weaker motors. For example, a friend of mine has a 500 watt motor on his e-bike. Now his e-bike is lighter, but his 500 watt motor gets to 32 kilometers per hour very quickly and easily and comfortably, and there's no issues with it. And this one is a 750 watt motor, and it struggles, as you saw in the top speed test, just to get to 31, 32. Most of the time, you're barely getting 32. You're getting 31. That's only with a full battery. If the battery is at 50%, you're looking at even less. So that's my main gripe. For 750 watts, I feel like it should be much more powerful. In fact, I've seen videos on YouTube of people who have stock 500 watt motors on their e-bikes, and they're comfortably able to do 25 miles an hour, 30 miles an hour, which is like 40, 45 kilometers per hour. on their e-bikes with 500 watt motors. So I don't know why this one, doesn't give you the performance that it should. I feel like the bike is slow, and that's going to be my main complaint about the bike. That's my number one complaint. I feel like, this is the bike should be much faster than what it is. I feel like the bike is slow, and I wish it was a lot faster. But the thing about it is, I guess I can't really complain, because I knew that was going to be a thing with the bike. See, the funny thing about this is that on the Samebike website, at the top of the page, when you go to samebike.store, which is where you have to buy this if you're buying this in Canada, it specifically says 25 mph, which is miles per hour. That's what it advertises the bike at, 25 miles per hour, and which is 40 kilometers per hour. And of course, this cannot do 40, not in a million years. Well, not on a flat surface, in throttle only. So when you go further down the page on the Samebike site, in the technical specs, in the tech specs of the bike, it says 32 kilometers per hour. So I actually emailed Samebike and I said, what is the actual top speed of the bike? Because you have sort of different specs on your website. And they emailed me back and said the bike can do 35 kilometers per hour. So I thought, okay, 32, 35, it says 40. Maybe I could get it somewhere up to 40. So no, that's going to be my number one complaint about the bike, is going to be the performance. I feel like the bike is slow. Now, keep in mind, if you're just looking for a nice cruiser, sort of a comfortable bike to cruise around on, this is probably a good choice. And that's generally what I'm using this for anyways, cruising around. But that's still my number one complaint. The performance of the bike, I feel, is low. In fact, if I'm going to be honest with you, if you had given me this bike and let me ride it around without telling me any of the specs of the bike and asked me how powerful is the motor, I'd probably say, 350, 500 watts. It does not feel like a 750 watt motor. So anyways, that's going to be my main complaint about the bike. I just feel the performance is not there, and it should be there, but what can we do? I still bought the bike, so I guess how can I really complain when I still bought the bike? So that's my number one complaint about the bike. And one last complaint about the bike, something I don't like. So this pertains to the throttle. So the throttle of the bike, let me see if I can maybe get into the shade here. Okay, so this might seem like a nitpick, but it really isn't a nitpick. This is something that I find extremely annoying. So the throttle of the bike, when you hit the throttle, the bike is limited to whatever your pedal assist mode is. So for example, if you're in pedal assist 1, let me get over here. If you're in pedal assist 1, and pedal assist 1 limits you to, let's say, 8 kilometers per hour. So let's say you're cruising along in pedal assist 1, everything's great. You're cruising slowly. And then let's say you have to quickly get off the road and you need to zip around somebody, or you need to quickly speed up to get into traffic or something. When you hit the throttle, it will not do anything, because the throttle is limited to whatever the pedal assist is. It's locked to that. So if you're doing 8 kilometers per hour in pedal assist 1 and you need to quickly accelerate beyond 8 kilometers per hour, you hit the throttle, it does nothing. You have to fiddle with this first. So you have to change it to pedal assist 2, pedal assist 3, 4, 5, and then hit the throttle, and then that will let you go the top speed. Now, this seems like a nitpick, but it's not a nitpick. There's been many times where, let me see here, hang on a second. There's actually been many times where I've been out cruising around. Let's say I'm on a bike path and I'm doing pedal assist 2, let's say I'm doing 10 kilometers per hour, cruising along, and then all of a sudden I have to go out onto the road. Maybe there's like pedestrians, or there's somebody with a lady with a stroller or something, her baby. I have to go onto the street and quickly accelerate to get around them. You hit the throttle, it doesn't do anything. You have to do all these extra steps of fiddling between this and this, and then hitting the throttle. It's just a complete pain. So in my view, the throttle should be completely independent of whatever your pedal assist is. You shouldn't have to fiddle around with this thing to use the throttle. The throttle should be completely independent. If you're in pedal assist 1 and you need to accelerate to the top speed, you should just be able to hit the throttle, accelerate to the top speed, and then slow down when you let go of it. That's how I see it, and it's extremely annoying. There's been many cases where this has happened to me, and it's one of the most frustrating things about the bike. So that's definitely something that I don't like about the bike. Okay, so I'm going to give you guys some final thoughts, wrap this video up with my conclusion. So as far as final thoughts goes, I think that the bike is solid. In terms of the performance, of course, you've heard me complain about that. So that would be my number one problem with the bike. The performance is just not there. Overall, I think the bike is solid. It's well built. Haven't had any issues with it yet, aside from the front fork occasionally sticking. But otherwise, I haven't had any other problems with it. Now, obviously, I can't speak for the long-term reliability of the bike because, you know, who knows? I've only had it for about a month now, so at least I can say for a month, have had no problems. But if I was to give the bike, let's say, a rating of some sorts, I wouldn't really do that. But if I was to rate it, let's say out of 10, maybe I would say, you know, maybe a 7 out of 10. I think that's fair. 6, 7, yeah, maybe a 6 or a 7 out of 10. I think that's fair. And basically, if you're considering buying an e-bike and you're considering Samebike, you can't really go wrong with this aside from the lack of performance. I think it's overall a decent bike. So yeah, those are my thoughts, and we'll see how it holds up in the long term. Certainly hope that it does. I plan on riding this bike all through the winter, so I guess maybe I could do an update as to how it holds up in the winter time. But for now, everything's running smooth and it's great. So yeah, those are my final thoughts, and I guess would I recommend the bike? If you're considering buying it, would I recommend you buy this bike? I could say so, yeah. I could say so. If you're okay with the performance, if you're okay with the top speed of 20 miles per hour, 32 kilometers per hour, if you're okay with that, then I would say sure, why not? If you're okay with the weight, you know, 74-pound bike, I would say go for it. But otherwise, that's going to be it for me. I'm going to leave it there, and thanks for watching.